MrBeast. There we go.
And everybody else.
You guys should join her and subscribe.
Why does Jimmy make us wear this ugly merch all the time?
Wait, what'd you say?
I said this is literally my favorite sweatshirt I have.
Me too, man. I'm glad you like it.
Did you cover all the MrBeast stuff?
The Kris Tyson situation could become a complete disaster for MrBeast brand.
I spent $50,000 on scratch-off tickets.
We're talking about the most subscribed creator on YouTube.
Ava Kris Tyson of the MrBeast crew had a ton of evidence surface about horrible behavior with how they communicated with minors, as well as a past of really disgusting shit.
The Discord logs of Kris Tyson just got leaked.
Would you date someone your age?
Why would I do that? No.
Kris Tyson talked inappropriately to a 13-year-old.
Kris Tyson from MrBeast used me, manipulated me, and did very inappropriate things with me while I was about 15 years old.
I knew to hide it before I even understood what it was, because I was like, this is not going to be received well.
Drama is good for growth, 100%.
Let's be real, if it was 16 or 13, it's still pretty f***ing bad.
Maybe Twitter is suppressing the MrBeast video because he says the F word and is super racist.
MrBeast fired longtime friend and collaborator Ava Kris Tyson.
It's really cold and I'm by myself now. And people are staring at me. I don't know what to do.
I want you to close your eyes and imagine that you're seated back, reclining in the first class cabin of an airplane as the flight attendant comes over and tells you to prepare for landing. You sit up, locking your tray table in the upright position and taking in the view outside your window as you slide up the shade. Below is the rolling green farmland of North Carolina. Nerves are building in your chest as you feel the airplane start to dip below the clouds, but it's not just the flight that's giving you butterflies. No, you're about to meet one of your idols, someone you've looked up to for years, and it just so happens that your idol noticed you out of her whole Twitter timeline, and you're not even at 500 followers. When you first sent her a DM as a fan, you never thought it would go this far, but all of your exchanges lead to an offer to be in a video for one of the world's biggest YouTubers, and now here you are, flying first class on a one-way ticket to meet her. You almost can't believe how lucky you are. When you ring the doorbell, it feels surreal to have this person open the door in front of you after only seeing pictures and videos, so you don't think much of it when she shows you to the bedroom to put down your things since you'll be sleeping there. But there's only one bed, hers. So when night comes around and you get into bed, she starts to get closer to you, cuddling you, kissing you, and eventually her clothes come off. She asks you to do things you're not really sure about. After all, aren't you going to be working together? But she just so happens to be best friends with one of the most powerful YouTubers on the planet, and you don't want to risk this huge opportunity, so you do as you're told. The next morning, you're not sure how to feel anymore. Is this a relationship? Is this a one-night stand? And what about your role in the new video and working together? Her friends seem confused when you mention it to them because, as it turns out, your new friend doesn't have anything to do with casting videos, and now you're here at her house in North Carolina for another week with nowhere else to stay, knowing that it was all just a lie. And this is what we know. Let's start from the beginning. So I know a good portion of the internet has been following the allegations against Ava Kris Tyson, one of the team members of the MrBeast YouTube channel, as well as the allegations against MrBeast. Like, you've seen them through your YouTube homepage, right? Like bright poppy thumbnails featuring a cutout of a guy with an exaggerated expression accompanied by titles like ages 1 through 100 fight for $500,000, or would you sit in snakes for $10,000? Sometimes there's a picture of a fanned out wad of cash in the thumbnail for good measure, and you know what? The algorithm eats it up, honey. But let's say you've been living underwater with no Wi-Fi and haven't heard of MrBeast. Let me put you on to a quick breakdown. The main MrBeast channel has over 311 million subscribers at the time of filming, but let me try and put that number into perspective for you. So there are more than 336 million people living in the United States, meaning MrBeast's following is almost large enough to repopulate the entire country, and it will very soon. And that's not even counting all of the spin-off channels that comprise the MrBeast empire. There's Beast Philanthropy, their giveaway channel with 25 million subscribers. Unlike the competitive prize competitions on the main channel, these videos features charity stunts and selfless acts like building wells in Africa or giving out school supplies to underprivileged children. MrBeast Gaming, with over 44 million subs, is their gaming channel that's seemingly abandoned. At least they haven't posted any new videos there in over a year, but his second channel, MrBeast 2, is at 44 million subs. Now, for comparison, my second channel, Swoop 2, just hit 200,000 subscribers, which is less than 0.5% of the subscriber count just on MrBeast's second channel. So, you know, there's still time for us to catch up if you want to subscribe, just saying. Now, Mr. Beastie Boy has dipped a hand into various business ventures over the years. The short-lived era of the MrBeast burger, his interesting line of Feastables chocolate bars, and even an app.
Wait, stop scrolling. I just dropped a brand new app and you can win lots of money.
And all you have to do is put your finger on the app like this. And the last person to take their finger off the app wins $25,000. The competition starts in 8 days. You can be in practice mode right now and, you know, get some training in. If you're the last to take your finger off this app, you win $25,000. Good luck.
He's basically like a human slot machine, like push random buttons, like, comment, and subscribe, join my giveaway, and you too could have an infinitesimal chance at winning enough money to pay off the rest of your life. Some people love it, some hate it. Arguably, he has done a lot of good deeds. I'm all for wells and homes being built for vulnerable populations that no one else seems to give a shit about. Now, whether or not that outweighs the people he's potentially allegedly exploited to make those videos happen, we will need another doc and several hours to cover all of that. Let me know if you want to see that. Now, MrBeast might be the most recognizable face of the channel and his brand, but the videos also feature other members of the Beast Gang, who he also sometimes refers to as the boys. This has been a rotating cast of characters over the years. People like Tyler Conklin, Garrett Ronalds, and Jake the Viking, who we will be coming back to later on. It's interesting to me that MrBeast seems to primarily almost exclusively surround himself with men in the Beast Gang, with the exception of one person in particular. And that's our primary focus today, Ava Kris Tyson, a trans woman who was known as a member of the Beast Gang, the host of the Beast Reacts channel, and MrBeast's childhood best friend. Yeah, they go way back. But first, oh hi there, hello, hi, it's my face again, Swoop! Hi, if you're seeing me for the first time, welcome. My name is Swoop and I'm a documentary filmmaker, commentary creator, and professor and dean of Petty University, and I make Swoop docs on unsolved cases, true crime, and social media influencers who abuse their power and manipulate audiences because, as I always say, it's not drama, it's dangerous. We also dig deeper into psychology, perspectives, play devil's advocate, and sometimes, depending on my mood, we take it to Petty University, okay? Have y'all enrolled fall semester? It is upon us. Classes in session, all are welcome. Professor Petty is here to take the student body on a deep dive field trip, and for extra credit, you can connect with me on Instagram and Twitter for a chance to be featured in upcoming Swoop docs. You'll see that I did some interviews in this one. Of course, also you can grab your very own apparel pieces from the Valid Ribcage and Valid Social Club collections, like the one I'm wearing here, in the Petty University shop link below. As always, they may not be there much longer, okay? I'm just saying, okay? We've been working on some new things, so just a heads up. Okay, real quick, and then we're gonna dive in. Can we talk about boundaries? I'm talking tune out all the noise around you kind of boundaries, you know what I mean? And y'all, hands down, the easiest, most satisfying way that I have found to shut out the chaos of the world around me is by putting in my Raycon everyday earbuds. Y'all know how much I love my Raycons, and they just got even better because their upgraded model now features active noise cancellation. What? So thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this video. They've been a huge supporter of this channel and we love them so much. And thank you to all of you for continuing to check them out, which is a great way to support this channel and also get something amazing for yourself. I have literally been wearing my everyday earbuds for years. I had the older generation, which is amazing. I mean, over like 3 million people got a pair, but honey, the new model, along with the ridiculously long 32-hour battery life and the new quick charge function where you can get 90 minutes of battery after only 10 minutes of charge. Now you also get ergonomic design, multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once, which means like no more having to unpair with your phone to have to pair with your laptop or your tablet. No, it's just gonna be connected to 2 of those at once. Now it has active noise cancellation. I am in love. It makes such an incredible difference. Seriously, like when I put these in, first of all, they are so freaking comfortable. Like I can wear them for hours without noticing them. They literally never fall out. I wear my Raycons everywhere, like working out, going on walks, running errands, taking calls, cleaning house. I wore them on my long ass flight with some soothing sleep music and the noise cancellation. Child, I was passed out on the flight and the kid screaming behind me was no match for these babies, okay? And they have all new vibrant colors. So I am personally obsessed with the new blush violet, which comes with a matching capsule case. And I also love these cute protective case covers. It's giving aesthetic honey, and even better, the case actually supports wireless charging. Seriously, if you want the most incredible noise canceling earbuds with amazing sound, super long battery life at an incredibly affordable price, get yourself some Raycons and click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/swoop to get 15% off your Raycon purchase plus free shipping. There really is no better time to grab yours, and they have a 30-day happiness guarantee. We love that, but you're gonna love them, okay? You're gonna like hang on to these forever like I do. So click the link in the description box below and treat yourself, honey. You deserve it. Okay, back to the doc. Super quick sidebars. What we will be discussing is largely alleged, though there is evidence to support. Also, normally we would censor any message of a trans person's dead name and would avoid using any photos of them pre-transition, but in the case of a highly publicized figure like Ava, her transition became public too, and it's a pretty relevant part of the story. I want to make sure that this doesn't get confusing, and I've consulted with the trans individuals on my team. I am so grateful to have them part of the team. So Tyson goes by both Ava and Kris with a K, so I will be referring to her as Ava, so it's not confusing. Thank you for always being respectful and for keeping it cute in the comments, especially as we get into the interviews that I conducted later on. Cool? Okay, let's dive in. Okay, we're gonna start this off by providing more background than I have seen covered anywhere, as I believe that's important to form a more nuanced perspective to any story. The tone may sound one way at first. It might feel sympathetic in ways that don't make sense, but hang tight and let the story unfold, because like most things in life, it does not finish the way that it begins. Wow, does it just not. So the date was May 7th, 1998. The American R&B group Next was topping the Billboard charts with their deep cut classics Too Close. The Titanic movie starring Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio was at #1 in the domestic box office for 140 days running. And in the town of Wichita, Kansas, a little boy named Jimmy Donaldson was born, who would become to be known as MrBeast. Jimmy was an army brat, and both of his parents had military careers and worked away from home, meaning that mommy and daddy Beast mostly left Jimmy and his older brother CJ in the care of a nanny. And of course, their family was constantly removing. It just kind of comes with the territory. And because they never stayed in one spot for too long, it became tough for him to make friends until finally the Donaldsons landed in Greenville, North Carolina. Or Greenville if you're, from the South. This time, Jimmy wouldn't be yanked out of class in the middle of the school year. This time, he could start the school year at Greenville Christian Academy. And it was here that Jimmy met Ava Kris Tyson. Born and raised in Greenville, Ava knew from an early age that something was different.
I've known for a really long time who I am. I've not always known the exact terms and exact names, but I've been very sure in that, like, a cis male is not correct. So
what's that like? Like, how do you know, like, oh, that something's not adding up? Or
so, I mean, like, it started when I was younger. Like, as a kid, I've always been obsessed with fashion, and like, like when I got pushed back into the closet by myself, like I just wore jeans and t-shirts
But then in the closet's where you found all that fashion.
I did find, but it was actually my sister's closet, so whoops.
Her conservative Southern family spent their Sundays sitting in church pews, and though Ava had described herself as a country boy in the past, she didn't always know where she fit in.
Because of where I was and, growing up super conservative and religious and all that stuff, I was like, even at a young age, I had no clue what it was, but I knew I had to hide it, which has always been so fascinating to me. I knew to hide it before I even understood what it was, because I was like, this is not going to be received well.
Now, Ava doesn't get too specific about how old she was when these secret games of dress up all started, other than referring to herself as a kid, but she felt that repressing those feelings was necessary for her survival.
I was going to a lot of church every time the door was open, and I was raised in like a really Southern church. And so, I'm sure there were messages as a kid probably stuck with me, because I'm sure the preacher thought he was preaching a very general-based message about like, what his interpretation of gender was. But to me, it was a direct message. And, as a little kid, that can have a really harming effect.
But back in the early 2000s, when Ava was growing up, trans visibility and acceptance was not what it is today. And even today, obviously, has its many, many issues. Movies like Silence of the Lambs back then portrayed trans people as violent. The hit 90s comedy Ace Ventura: Pet Detective features a joke where Jim Carrey vomits at the thought of kissing a trans woman. All the signs in our culture pointed to the idea that trans people were revolting, which will play a part in this story later. Young Ava internalized that message that you are not accepted here. And so Ava turned to a place where she could be anonymous. The internet. Many of us of all walks of life turn to the internet, right?
But I had a friend who was, she was like my best girlfriend growing up during that time. And we would send messages, and then one day her mom took her phone and read through her phone and found out everything about me. And a parent being a parent felt the need to like disclose that information, and it had a lot of falling out, and that drove me back into the closet really hard at a time where I was like very much discovering myself.
Now, Ava doesn't go into much detail about the relationship she had with her parents growing up, but it's safe to say that she didn't feel like it was going to be an accepting environment. So back into the closet she went, or maybe I should say back into her sister's closet.
I've had it happen a couple of times where it's like, I'll discover myself, I start to come out, and then something happens and I'll go back in. And then when I was like 13 and 14, I would pack a book bag with some of my sister's clothes and sneak into the woods and spend the whole day like that.
But it was when she entered her junior year of school at the Greenville Christian Academy in 2012 that the course of Ava's life would drastically change. That same year, when Jimmy D began his freshman year of high school at Greenville Academy, he started experiencing unexplained health symptoms. His stomach would clench, feeling knotted and soured, and he rapidly began losing weight. And soon after, Jimmy had to stop playing baseball and pull out of school entirely until he was eventually diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is not an easy diagnosis for someone. But all that time away from the baseball diamond allowed Jimmy to focus on his other passion, YouTube.
What's up, guys? Game Harder Die here, and this is an insanely epic castle.
What's up, guys? I just bought a new microphone, and if you've seen any of my older videos, this mic sounds like 30 times better than my old mic. And in my desperate quest for topics in order to maintain my daily uploading schedule, I thought of talking about Crohn's disease because it's something I have, obviously, or I wouldn't be talking about it. I've done a video on it before, but that was a really long time ago, and I've doubled my subscriber count since then, so, why not do another one?
He spent hours playing Call of Duty, Clash of Clans, and all those mobile games. Jimmy was obsessed, basically, with YouTube. He's spoken about this before, but he did nothing but study the website for 5 years, trying to break down the factors that lead to viral success. And I mean, you gotta give the man credit, okay? He has definitely figured it out. Holy shit, dude.
Groundbreaking.
Back on February 19th, 2012, Jimmy started a YouTube channel called MrBeast 6000, and who was sitting right there beside him? Ava! Quote, I remember the day he created it. Me and him were hanging out at his house, and he created the YouTube channel MrBeast 6000, which is now MrBeast. I made sure I was the first person subscribed when he made it. Now, Ava has been there literally since day one. I didn't even know that before I was digging into the story. And the isolation, away from friends while Jimmy was recovering from his illness, only made their relationship stronger. I also should point out that Ava is actually 2 years older than Jimmy. She was originally friends with Jimmy's older brother, CJ, but their love of YouTube is kind of what cemented their bond together.
Our favorite YouTuber.
Oh, we did. Mr. Bro.
Mr. Bro. Back in the day, CJ was in my class. Me and CJ were good friends, but me and Jimmy got we had way more in common. And we just had such a small school, and it was like, you know, each lunch table clique was just like 10 people.
Yeah.
So it was like, there was gamers, there was jocks, there was nerds. It was like your classic tropes.
You all of them in one.
The birth of the Beast gang, I'm gonna have to keep saying that, happened right there at the lunch table of Greenville Christian Academy. Their shared interest in things like gaming and YouTube eventually meant the two of them became what, you know, seems like best friends.
And Jimmy would call me on Sunday mornings and he would be like, do you want to play COD? And I would be like, yeah, 100%. And he would be like, watch this newest video. And like, I would watch him because like I cared about YouTube.
And just like for reference, these are the sort of riveting action-packed uploads that Ava was racing over to see. Listen, basically, if you don't have cringe content in your past as a creator, then you probably didn't do it right. Okay, that's just a rite of passage around here.
All right. Where am I? What just happened? What did it say? From Saul, before you can advance.
But like, yeah, that's definitely like ride or die behavior, because it's not just that Ava was eager to hang out with Jimmy. Her home life seemed complicated.
You guys want to know, honestly, the real reason, the tell-all why I just was like, I'll be Jimmy's sidekick forever? I told you, I grew up, this is legit, I grew up with no internet and 5 TV channels. Like, that's all I had. I would go to Jimmy's house to play video games, or my cousins, or my mom had a job in town. And I had a TV that I could carry on my back because it had a strap on it. And I had my PlayStation would go in my book bag, and I had a crappy laptop with a capture card. Had no clue how to edit. And I was just terrible at trying to be a YouTuber, but I just knew like I wanted to make people laugh. I just enjoyed being funny. And so it was just too stressful for me to try to be a YouTuber, try to pretend to be a YouTuber. And Jimmy just has always been like hyper obsessed. Like Jimmy's a weirdo when it comes to YouTube. They got to study his brain when he dies. He's like obsessed with it.
They're going to find a lot of weird stuff.
They're going to find so much weird stuff on that brain.
There's no question that Jimmy's passion was YouTube, but these early videos never really gained much traction, and as graduation approached, Ava's interest had branched off into more traditional career pursuits, though she did have a now defunct gaming channel called Tyson Boy 34, so at one point maybe she considered going the MrBeast route. Instead, Ava left for college to study computer science while MrBeast continued to study YouTube. You know what this makes me think? Like maybe we should actually add that as a major to the Petty University curriculum. What do we think? Study YouTube at Petty University, where you'll master the art of creating content, maybe an apology video, having to bob and weave being called a clout chaser anytime you do literally anything. Or how about this, like how to respond to the age-old cliche lines such as, why don't you get a real job? In which case you'll take your fake job and work tirelessly as a self-starting entrepreneur who came from nothing to build yourself up to the point of creating your own production company that in turn can help create real jobs and employ other people, therefore stimulating the economy and helping put food on more tables than just your own. So does anyone want to take that class, Petty University? Okay, let me know in the comments. But I digress. Anyways, where was I? While Ava was off at college, Jimmy hit it big with his first viral video on the MrBeast channel, where he counts to 100,000, which is proof that people really will just watch anything on here. It's great. This is after years of exhaustive trial and error, and by this point he had dropped out of college at East Carolina University to make YouTube videos full time. His parents actually even kicked him out of their house after discovering that he hadn't attended essentially much of any classes his first semester of college, which prompted him to move into an apartment with Ava. Now, Ava would split her time between attending classes, working part-time at the local Best Buy, and helping Jimmy make content for the channel. Some of these early videos featured Ava doing things like wrapping Jimmy in 100 layers of saran wrap and toilet paper in 2017. It was very on brand for that year. Or this.
Bro, what are you doing? Bro? Did you just assume my gender? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to misgender you. You're such a heliphobe. Get out!
I sexually identify as an attack helicopter. Ever since I was a boy, I dreamed of soaring over the oil fields, dropping hot, sticky loads on disgusting foreigners. People say to me that a person being a helicopter is impossible. I'm having a plastic surgeon install rotary blades, 30mm cannons, and AMG 114 Hellfire missiles on my body. From now on, I want you guys to call me Apache and respect my right to kill.
Yeah, well, anyways, by that point, the MrBeast channel had 750,000 subscribers and Jimmy had secured the channel's first brand deal. Big deal.
I was always been obsessed with the internet, so I was like, why don't I learn about it?
Yeah.
And then that became my passion. And then, you know, Jimmy came along and was like, hey, I'll pay you the exact same thing that job is paying you if you just, you know, come be funny with me on camera. And I was like, I think that might be my passion.
Sounds like a good deal.
That sounds like a good deal. And like, it's become something that's like really changed the course of my life. Honestly, I told Jimmy this the other day, like, I don't think I would have been able to transition without like the fame.
And so Ava quit her job and began making videos with Jimmy full time. Their other friend, Chandler, soon joined in and the MrBeast channel skyrocketed to success. But Chandler and Ava weren't just Jimmy's sidekicks. They were active members of, yes, I'm gonna keep saying it again, the members of the Beast Gang, okay? Beast Gang, Beast Gang, Beast Gang. You could tell that I'm probably not the target demographic. From video ideas to writing to planning production, logistics to editing and uploading, Jimmy and Ava and Chandler collaborated on the MrBeast channel as a team, but Jimmy would remain, you know, basically the face of the channel and its subsequent brand. And after reaching 1 million followers at 19 years old, the growth became exponential. 4 million, then 18, 34, 61, until at 26 years old, MrBeast is now the most subscribed channel ever with over 310 million. Oh, sorry. He just gained 1 million more subs since I wrote this, 311 million. Honestly, by the time I post this doc, it'll probably be 350 million. So yeah, you might ask, with all the success, what could possibly go wrong? On April 1st, 2023, MrBeast released a video titled $1 versus $500,000 plane ticket.
We're gonna fly on this jet that costs $500,000 per flight. And we're also gonna fly on this $25,000 private jet, a $10,000 first class seat, a blimp, and so much more. But before I show you what it's like to fly on some of the most luxurious planes on the planet, we're gonna fly on the cheapest plane in the world.
It's really rickety.
Here's the dollar.
I'm very nervous. Nothing to be nervous about. I've done this half a dozen times.
You've done this 6 times. Why does this sound like a lawnmower engine?
This is, by all accounts, a pretty typical MrBeast video, but regular viewers had noticed that Ava had undergone a noticeable change in appearance.
Oh, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. Holy cow. Our space on this plane is literally 4 times bigger than the last one. I've never seen a plane where I can comfortably do jumping jacks. I wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend a car.
Buy a car instead.
And now the best part of the room. A queen-size bed.
Ooh, why don't they just make every seat a bed? That was really good sleep.
And so fans flooded YouTube and Twitter with comments about Ava's longer hair and painted nails, with this tweet by Huncho getting over 60 million views. Quote, bro, WTF happened? Which, first of all, like, why do you care? But Ava gave them an answer. Basically, Ava had started HRT, or hormone replacement therapy, to begin her gender transition, and the internet lost their minds. Jimmy immediately came to his friend's defense, but of course it would only stoke the trolls' appetite even more. Now, before we get into the backlash, I want to rewind a little bit, because this wasn't the first hint on Ava's Twitter TL that some changes were happening. As far back as March of that year, Ava tweeted photos of herself with her nails manicured and polished, and this took fans by surprise because Ava had a reputation among MrBeast fans as being a traditionally masculine member of the Beast Gang because, you know, she liked trucks and guns, which is maybe like less of a function of her gender and more a function of being like from North Carolina. I'm just saying. Ava clarified further in several other tweets from her alt account on April 5th, informed consent HRT saved my and many others' lives. The hurdles GNC people have to jump through to get life-saving, gender-affirming healthcare in a first world country is wild to me. Just let people make informed decisions about their own bodies. I'm generally so glad so many people are learning what HRT is and how it can and has helped so many people because of my tweet. I was super nervous to be public about this because I've always been so private when it comes to this, but seeing conversations started because of me is amazing. Transitioning can be a slow process. I know a number of trans individuals, and I think that like Ava knew that the response was going to be intense just with all of the eyeballs on this. I mean, just like honestly, just look at celebrities like Elliot Page, for example, like the star of Juno and Umbrella Academy, like who have publicly transitioned while continuing to have a career in entertainment.
There's no debate to trans people's existence. Full stop.
It's not a debate. To debate our existence continuously over and over again, I think it's appalling.
Now, Jimmy has known that Ava was trans since she was still in college. And it's also worth noting that Jimmy continuously leapt to Ava's defense online from the start.
Jimmy's known it since we were in college together. I accidentally walked out of a bedroom, like my bedroom and his bedroom were apart.
Just straight up naked.
No, but obviously not very cis het male. So, I told him, and he told me, I told him, I was like, I don't really know what it is, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna be ready to deal with it. And he was like, oh yeah, he's like, I don't care, just whenever it becomes a thing, just let me know. And then for 7 years or however many years, I just didn't let him know.
But fans had noticed signs that something was going on long before the April 1st video, because a week earlier on March 28th, Ava had dropped a bombshell on Twitter. Quote, for a little over a year now, me and Katie have been separated. We are finalizing things soon, but these things take time. We like to keep our personal lives private, which a lot of people don't understand because we share so much, but this is the only time I want to discuss it. Ava and her wife, Katie Tyson, who she had been with for almost 7 years, were in the process of getting a divorce. And immediately fans had questions about Katie's role in Ava's life. By even as far back as 2020, there was already speculation online about the state of the Tyson marriage. They had dated for 3 years prior to the marriage in 2018 and welcomed their first and only son, Tucker, in June of 2020. But during the pandemic, viewers noticed that Ava had taken off her wedding band in videos and seemed to espouse more liberal and agnostic opinions, especially on her alt Twitter account, while Katie identifies as a conservative Christian. Ava also came out as bi in this tweet from 2020. All us kids who were suppressed and shamed for being who we are or told our opinions didn't matter are finally standing up and letting our voices be heard. I am bisexual, and when I told the few people I did when I was 16, I got a lot of negative backlash from friends, family. Just know, if the people around you don't love and support you, we always will.
I'm going through a lot with the transition, even though the separation is very clean and very me and Katie are doing great and co-parenting and spending time together. It's still a hard process for anybody to go through. So I got a little defended, and I did the bit where everybody gets a little emotional on Twitter. But I'm taking strides and I'm doing things to recognize that I have a huge image and I need to be careful with that.
But it's easy to sit there and blame Ava. If she's known she was trans for this long, why did she even let it get that far? But again, this is where we spend some of that time on the backstory and on any story that I cover to have a more nuanced perspective, right? We sort of go back in time and remember that, fear of rejection or religious trauma and so many factors can make a person stay in the closet. And bottom line, I think none of us were directly in their marriage, and it's probably healthiest for everyone, including their child, that it stays that way, okay? Just, that's my thoughts there.
Very demure, very mindful.
But of course, the internet got really weird about it. Now, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of support from the MrBeast community, which is great. But also, this is Twitter, where Elon Musk has decided that the word cis is a slur and won't acknowledge his own kids. So, of course, there was a wave of nasty trolls popping up and seeing their own shadows and screaming like diaper poopy babies, but way less cute than poopy babies. On the same day that Ava made her HRT announcement on April 5th, Twitter user and certified poopy pants live with Evan tweeted, "There goes a father figure the kid won't ever be able to look up to." Okay, so Ava fired back. This is just more dog whistling that somehow trans and gender non-conforming folks aren't safe around kids. Tucker begs me to come back when I leave for 2 days to film. He is so loved and happy. Kids aren't born with hate. It's taught by people like you, and my child will only know love. And these tweets about Ava, harmful to the trans community, yes. Did they also age incredibly oddly in ways unrelated to trans that we're gonna get into? Also big, giant, poopy, yes. Remember when I mentioned the tone will be shifting? Yeah. In the meantime, all of this online discourse only reinforced the idea that trans and queer people are gurus, which, dear God, can people please stop using that word incorrectly and also get the facts right? Just speaking plainly, that sentiment is statistically kind of ridiculous when we know that in the United States alone, 93.7% of sexual offenders are cis men. Just thought I'd point that out. Now, the poop is really about to hit the fan, and yes, I am aware that I have dragged the poop bit on too long. It's a shitty joke. Sorry, I had to. So one of the largest, most controversial videos commenting on Ava's transition was from a YouTuber named SunnyV2, who on April 13th, 2023 made a video called Why Dead Name is Going to Be a Nightmare for MrBeast, which has since been edited on SunnyV2's channel to have a slightly less crappy title.
The Kris Tyson situation could become a complete disaster for MrBeast brand. However, it may also provide some unique benefits. So let's begin by going over the drama before explaining exactly how this will impact the MrBeast channel.
The response to this video was huge. Today it has over 9 million views, and SunnyV2 has over 4 million subscribers. Now, it's nowhere near the numbers that MrBeast puts up, but it was enough to spark an entire wave of videos on the situation with their hot takes. And at this point, Jimmy was getting fed up with people putting words in his mouth, so he tweeted this in response to the SunnyV2 video. Yeah, this is getting absurd. Ava isn't my nightmare, she's my friend, and things are fine. All this transphobia is starting to piss me off. Now that Ava had come out, there were a lot of questions about her future on the MrBeast channel and on YouTube in general. But aside from the trolls, the whole situation felt like kind of a positive step. Like, you've got a YouTuber with a following as large as MrBeast, nearly the size of the United States, being openly supportive of his trans best friend. That's pretty great, right? All is well, right?
It's like, I know that right now what I'm focusing on is being the absolute best version of myself, being the best example and influence for not only my kid, but millions of kids out there, because that's a big responsibility. Now that I'm trans, I'm not allowed to be cringe, because everybody knows trans people specifically can't be cringe. It's a rule.
Okay.
It's right here. Look
I
it
actually
up.
didn't. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Now
Wow.
I know that rule.
Wow.
This is gonna be the most
Jokes.
Who's laughing now, Ava?
How's it going, you guys? So recently everybody's been hearing about the Jeanette McCurdy leak of her photo. What the story is, she sent pictures to her boyfriend, her now ex-boyfriend, and he leaked them out, and you'll probably see the photos get taken down at some point tonight, maybe tomorrow, because Nickelodeon has that kind of power. But the link's in the description if you want to see them. I mean, I'm not endorsing people to go look at somebody else's private business, but it's there if you want it.
Now, as a heads up, we're about to get into some of the dark stuff in this section of the doc, including mentions of inappropriate actions around minors and CSAM, as well as transphobia. Now, there will be no graphic discussions, and everything will be censored to adhere to the platform's policies and to try to make this as digestible as possible for everyone watching. Everything that I told you about Ava and the battles online is only setting the stage for the new information that came out about her just a little bit ago. In June of 2024, allegations against Ava were made in a YouTube video titled The Kris Tyson Journey by a user named Prism42.
I was concerned with what I had saw. This is how it started. I was on 4chan and I came across a post, and people were posting about Kris Tyson's interest in pedophilic art. And when I saw that, I knew that this guy, Shadman, or Shaddai Pergine, is bad news. And the fact that he's in the children's entertainment industry, like there's pictures of him going to the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, it's very concerning. I decided to look into it myself, and I found more and more disturbing stuff.
So let's go step by step. Prism says that he came across comments on 4chan that alleged Ava Tyson was interested in adult art that depicted underage nudity, basically, in other words, child P or CP. They specifically mentioned an artist called Shadman, who is a figure that we will get into later, but all you need to know for now is that their artwork is essentially thinly veiled CP, and I mean thinly veiled, thin, like the entrance to the Brandy Melville store thin. Now listen, there are a mixed bag of burritos regarding how people feel about Prism's approach, and I don't have the energy, so I will just give my observations of what transpired, and y'all can form your own opinion or not. I'm going to show you the tweets and DMs that support some of these allegations, but I think that we need to back up up a little bit to understand exactly who Prism42 is. Prism has ties to the conservative organization Turning Point USA with totally stellar moments with people like Kyle Rittenhouse, yay, and he also has ties to Charlie Kirk.
But they hate Thanksgiving because they believe there is nothing you should be thankful for in America. This is an awful place. It is cancerous, rotten to the core. Tear it all down, burn it from within. Why would you be thankful? Instead, we need a revolution.
And he originally tried to contact them about these allegations in addition to other news outlets, and even tried to get the scoop out via Charlie Kirk's personal driver, because that's the traditional hierarchy of a newsroom. I don't know. Listen, when that didn't work, he contacted a YouTuber known as EDP445 for sakes to try and spread the news online. Yeah, actually, he had to pay for access to EDP's website so he could contact him, posing as a show, which you'll also find out later, Prism seems to be a big fan of posing under false pretenses. But he posed as a show to convince EDP to cover these emerging allegations about Ava Tyson, so EDP did just that.
Kris Tyson supports child. He's into that freak ass shit. That nasty ass, disgusting mother, man. And see, we gotta protect our youth. We gotta protect our kids from weird ass freak motherfuckers like this, you feel me? If you guys don't know who the Kris Tyson is, Kris Tyson is a trans.
I'm gonna stop the clip there because it quickly gets very graphic and EDP's video was originally posted on May 12, 2023, more than a year ago. It's 9 minutes long, and Prism claims that the video blew up. Now, if you haven't heard of this EDP person, he first became popular for his rant videos. I can't make total sense of why Prism thought EDP was the best person to get this news out, especially considering that in 2021, EDP also had allegations leveled against him for sending illicit messages to and trying to meet up with someone he believed was a 13-year-old girl. So ding, 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 points for credibility, fiddly-dee. As if his name, EDP, standing for Eat Dat is a word I can't say here, wasn't a red flag already. I mean, I can think of nothing that I would enjoy less than that man being anywhere near my kitty. But I digress.
We gotta protect our youth. We gotta protect our kids.
Man, shut up. So now, Prism sort of acknowledges that EDP is a bad person without really elaborating on why he's a bad person, which is interesting. So let's just throw him in the cesspool.
Like, he faked an interview with AI Obama. He was trying to say that him getting caught meeting up with a 13-year-old was supposed to be for a movie or something, a movie trailer. And he was saying that they tricked him and tried to frame him as a wild, stupid stuff. And he like photoshopped these emails. It's ridiculous. And so I saw that and I was like, wait a second. The answer's staring at me right in the face. As long as the information gets out, why does it matter?
So there you have it. It seems like Prism didn't care who was the mouthpiece for this information as long as it got out there. One of EDP's victims even contacted Prism to say she was bothered that EDP was the one mouthing these allegations against Ava. I mean, like, you know, really the whole great gluten-free hypocrisy of it all. Ha! Told you it's getting weird and it's just gonna get worse. I think the worst part is that Prism 100% knew what kind of person EDP was, and that's precisely why he contacted him. Maybe, I don't know.
I didn't want to be attached with this whole thing. I didn't want to be associated with this whole thing. People, like my family and friends, were expecting me to get this out, like it was my responsibility, just because I discovered it.
The sense of duty Prism has to get someone to report on Ava Tyson is interesting.
And I want to say this, because people are going to say that Kris Tyson thinks he's a woman or he's transgender. They're gonna say that's the sole reason that you went after him. I'm gonna say this right now, that's not true. That's not true at all. Although it is true that I don't think that people that say that they're the opposite gender, I don't think it's appropriate for them to be around kids and say those kinds of things and, like, you know, wear dresses or whatever. But at the end of the day, that hardly has anything to do with me talking about this.
Cool. When EDP's rants about it fizzled out, Prism attempted to contact more news outlets, including Chris Hansen, you know, the To Catch a Pred guy.
How you doing? All right. Can you have a seat over in that chair, please?
Well, Chris Hansen disappeared, probably because the producers thought it wasn't a story worth pursuing, maybe because Chris Hansen was going to, maybe possibly botch another YouTuber story. You didn't hear it from me, and yes, I do have a doc on it. It's just been, sitting in my drafts for a while. Let me know if you want that one. But Prism, I'm talking about Mama Max, by the way, if you didn't know, but Prism openly admits that he was feeding all of this information to EDP and that he, quote, emotionally manipulated EDP into continuing to cover this story, and I am trying to find the to care, but I just don't. Now, this is where Prism really crosses the freaking line, in my opinion, though, which is so counterproductive to literally everything. When Prism didn't get the reaction that he wanted, he took it a step further and tracked down Ava's ex-wife, Katie Tyson's address, her personal address, and sent a FedEx package to her home. And what was in that package? Printouts of evidence of the allegations against Ava.
I'm gonna go over some of the people that I reached out to, some of the notable ones. One of the notable ones is Chris Tyson's wife, Katie Tyson. I went through notaries and I was able to find out, where she was, and I was able to send her a package, a FedEx package. She signed for it, she picked it up, and in the package was evidence about all the stuff that I was going to cover. I sent her quite a bit that didn't look good, and of course she never reached out to me, but at the same time I know she never told Chris Tyson about it because otherwise he would have deleted all the messages. That kind of shows what kind of relationship they have, but that's none of my business.
That to me is unhinged behavior. Like, I can only imagine how unsafe this would make Katie feel to be alone in the house with her young child and have an internet stranger track down her address and send her disturbing information about her ex-partner. That is some illegal line-stepping shit, and she should have a right to file charges, I think. I think that any public figure who has their or their family's private information invaded should always file charges. People shouldn't do that, and they'll always get caught. Go ahead and file those charges. Anyways, Prism then released a follow-up video to these claims, and this is where the evidence all starts to finally come out.
Chris Tyson reached out to this guy when he was 13 years old. Except the problem with that is Chris Tyson started an online friendship with this guy when he was only 13 years old. Now, the problem with that is Chris Tyson was born in July of 1996. Lava GS was born on November 12th, 2003. The problem with that is that there's a 7-year age gap. He was only 13 years old. He was in middle school. And you were in college, you were 20 years old. This is all really, really, really bad, considering all the other stuff with the art that I talked about. The fact that you're also bisexual, and you also had made this guy your moderator. You also had sent this guy Snapchats, which by the way were inappropriate. When you are in college, you should not be talking to any middle schoolers.
So this user, LavaGS, DM'd MrBeast on Twitter years ago when the MrBeast channel had like less than 500 followers and won a giveaway for a CS GO branded knife. That's Counter-Strike GO, which is an online multiplayer video game, which kind of weird that MrBeast is sending knives to kids on the internet, but we need a whole other video to get into all of that behavior, don't we? Just ask Rosanna Pansino.
There's been a lot of news coming out about MrBeast, Jimmy Donaldson.
Anyways, years pass, the MrBeast channel grows, and it seems like Lava has remained a loyal subscriber, not only keeping up with MrBeast, but on her streams. On March 26, 2018, Ava tweeted a poll to her followers, quote, "I really enjoy playing Fortnite. Would you guys want to watch me stream?" Lava responded enthusiastically to please stream again, and Ava asked him if he wanted to moderate the Discord for the stream, which is already strange considering Lava was 14 at the time. But what's even weirder is the way that she asked it. Thanks, Dad, want to moderate it? It meaning the Discord server, and Dad meaning what exactly? Lava seemed unfazed though and replied and said, "I'd love to." And already the foundations of a power dynamic are being laid here. In March of 2018, MrBeast's main channel was just shy of 4 million subscribers, and Ava was branching off into a gaming channel and streaming of her own. The invitation to be part of the inner circle of MrBeast's team, especially for someone that young, would seem like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Can you imagine? And this wouldn't be the last time Ava would kind of dangle a job with MrBeast in front of someone either, but we will get to that later. So we can see see from the public tweets and later through private Discord messages that Ava frequently set inappropriate messages, photos, and links in her Discord chats like this. Or how about, I posted some fire nudes for you. Yeah, unless you're talking about pictures of spicy ramen, this is a crime. Right? Like, are we talking crimes here? Are we criming now? These were all the public exchanges between Ava and Lava on Twitter, which reference the more illicit material that Ava would send over Discord allegedly. Things like her nudes, corn with a P, I hate that I have to say that word, corn, and specifically like hentai, which is essentially anime corn, which brings us back to Shadman. These days, Shadman is a name you only hear about if you're visiting some deep, dark, twisted corners of the internet. Please don't visit those corners. His name alone sounds menacing, like whisper Shadman 3 times in the mirror and an asshole will appear behind you. But once upon a time, he was a Swiss YouTuber who was expelled from art school for his disturbing depictions of underage subjects. Now, just a reminder, there will be nothing graphic and this will be censored, and everyone discussed is now an adult. So this is officially our Petty University segment, but Petty is gonna kind of take a college nap today. So the emphasis is on a university today for education for the student body. Do not look these images up. Do not look this stuff up. Also, quick sidebar, is it like a prerequisite origin story for like evil guys to get rejected from art schools? I'm just asking. Naturally, Shadman turned to the internet to display his work with some of his most egregious and offensive projects, including creating inappropriate drawings of an 11-year-old YouTuber and even a drawing of Keemstar's 7-year-old daughter. Yeah, fucked up. We could follow Shadman down a very dark rabbit hole, but all you really need to know is that Shadman was known for a type of cartoon, a P classified as lolicon, which I'll probably refer to as lol, the subjects of which are underage anime, like cartoon girls.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Now, the term is derived from the title of the 1955 novel Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, which is basically about an older guy wanting for a 12-year-old. This art, also sometimes called Roricon, is literally a contraction of the term Lolita complex, which can be used to define the condition of being attracted to people underage. And Shadman is far from the first person to create these sort of pictures. Quote, the lol genre emerged in Japan during the 1970s. Inspired by the works of artists like Hideo Atsuma and Ken Akamatsu, it features a suggestive content depicting fictional, childlike characters, often in manga, anime, or related media. Now, this is an entire genre that Ava seemed to enthusiastically enjoy frequently and express it on a public forum and in private to underage people on the internet. But liking something online is, we have to be fair, it is different than engaging with something in real life. Right? Just because someone enjoys this doesn't make them a PDF file, does it? Well, from a psychological perspective, here are a few thoughts. Quote, within the realm of fantasy, people can express desires that may be socially and morally unacceptable in real life. It is a big part of why fantasies exist. For instance, it's common for people to engage in fantasies involving taboo subjects like in or are. However, indulging in these thoughts does not equate to an intention to ever act upon them or even desire them in real life. It's crucial to emphasize that fantasy remains distinct from action or even from other kinds of desire. Even so, though that doesn't excuse the fact that Ava was allegedly sharing these fantasies and images with people and with underage people on that Discord chat, including Lava, who was 13 while Ava was 20, and I think old enough to know better. At best, many believe Ava is guilty of some creepy behavior and could benefit from some counseling. And at worst, well, possessing this art is largely considered a federal crime in the United States, thanks to something called the PROTECT Act. The PROTECT Act of 2003 is a United States law designed to prevent, CA, and prosecute violent crimes against kids. PROTECT stands for Prosecutorial Remedies and Other Tools to End the Exploitation of Children Today. It significantly strengthens law enforcement's ability to investigate and punish crimes against kids. This act also strengthened the federal government's ability to prosecute these creeps for the creation or possession of virtual images, which honestly in the age of AI is already a huge concern. And there's been academic research published on the topic dating back to at least 2001. Now, people who defend this art see it as a victimless crime. You know, it's just pixels on a screen that aren't inflicting trauma or any real person. You know, it's all created art. But thankfully, in the eyes of the law, this normalizes the illicit depiction and contributes to a very damaging culture. Like, while fantasies may not translate to reality, it can at times be argued that this art could encourage someone to act. And if someone is sharing this online, then I have to ask, isn't that kind of bringing it into reality? I mean, people saw these images. That's kind of reality, right? Possessing lol is illegal under federal law if the anime depiction of an underage person is obscene and it was transmitted through the mail, internet, common carrier, or transported across state lines, or there is proof there was intent to distribute or sell it. Now, the federal government was ready to crack some ass, like in 2008 when they arrested a comic book collector in Iowa named Christopher Handley for possessing it. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a photo of him, but here's a visual representation of what I think he looks like. The sting operation on Handley involved intercepting a package that the postal inspector believed contained something suspicious. So the police followed Handley home, where they found his house was full of images, DV, VHS tapes, and computers that contained, I'm just gonna call it very questionable images, very, very sus. Something called the Comic Book League Defense Fund came to support Handley's court battle, and he even had a celebrity support from, wait for it, Neil Gaiman, you know, the once believed author who was very recently had years of essay allegations come to light. Yeah, that one. Now, Handley eventually took a plea bargain and was sentenced to 6 months in prison. Without it, he was facing almost 15 years. That's how serious this stuff can get. So you may be asking, why isn't Ava in jail right now? To quote a prestigious law firm, simple possession of lol is not illegal under federal laws unless you possess a large amount of it, which prosecutors could allege you have the intent to sell or distribute. Unless you created the images yourself, federal prosecutors would not have difficulty proving that you received it over the internet or through the mail. Ava was potentially just a connoisseur, a lawlessor, if you will, and perceivably not a creator like Shadman, but she was engaging with his work right out there in the open. There was, you know, that time that Ava pulled up Shadman's website on live stream, which is horrifying, or the multiple times that she tweeted about references to this work, or the many times she's responded to his tweets. And so, like, I'm not an attorney, I am not a law person, so this feels like you're kind of distributing it when you're pulling it up on live streams, but I don't know, man. If someone works in law enforcement is watching this, or an attorney, like, let me know in the comments. She's even purchased art from Shadman that made it into one of the MrBeast videos, hanging on the wall right in front of Jimmy. Do we think Jimmy D saw it or nah? Looking back through all of this over the years, it seems obvious, right? Like, and this isn't the first time. Like, some of Ava's tweets about it were exposed in a Twitter thread over a year ago by user Mrs. Massacre, as far back as April 15th, 2023. Yeah, didn't get a lot of traction then yet. In that thread, 3 tweets were exposed that could have canceled them, like, all by themselves. Okay, that was a long sidebar class. That was basically a whole, like, a Russian literature course. We got a psychology course study and a law school lecture rolled into one. Don't let people tell you that petty university isn't just petty and that it's not worth the price of tuition, which is free. Petty university is free. Yeah, so you're welcome. Class dismissed. Before we get to the other allegations, it's worth noting how this information on Ava started to gain traction, especially because Prism doesn't have a large following and EDP is trash. Prism 42's video on Ava was posted on June 13th. It's almost 40 minutes long and is comprised solely of allegations with no direct evidence. It's not until the second video, Kris Tyson's interactions with PDF file artwork, that Prism talks about a lot of the Twitter screenshots I just showed you. And it's during his third video, the Kris Tyson Journey, posted on June 17th, that Prism goes into detail about the relationship between Ava and Lava, as well as other underage members of the Discord server. When these videos first dropped, the reaction was practically non-existent, but that would all change when YouTuber Brion stumbled across Prism's first video and commented, "Not sure if I missed it or not, but is there 100% proof that this was a 13-year-old? I'm asking because I'd love to bring your work here to light in a video." Prism asked Brion to connect with him on Discord, and a few weeks later, on July 21st, Brion publishes his first video, Kris Tyson got caught talking to a minor. It's bad allegations. Brion has 239,000 subscribers, almost 100 times the viewership of Prism, and the response to Brion's video was immediate. YouTubers Cheeto and Sensitive Society had also published videos a day earlier, but there's a key voice in all of this that had been relatively absent up until this point: Lava, who we've only gotten secondhand statements from in Prism's video and his old tweets to Lava. Until now, when Lava took to Twitter to respond, quote, "These videos are massive lies and twisting the truth. Ava never did anything wrong and just made a few edgy jokes. I was never exploited or taken advantage of. Can you do me a favor and comment on these videos and tell them to stop spreading lies? This situation takes away from children who are actively being exploited every day online. I am not a victim of anything being claimed in these videos or at all. I am not a victim and I am not backpedaling any statements I have already made. Everything I have stated is still very true. Nothing bad happened between me and Kris. People are creating lies around my name." And Twitter, well, Twitter hated this response, it was confusing to me with how this unfolded. Like, in my mind, a statement from someone directly impacted by the situation, who's, allegedly a victim, is important. Their statement is important. And while Lava's response wasn't what these creators anticipated, saying, it was a lie, it's not true, it is a voice that should weigh heavily in the discussions, being that the people are discussing this person and now this person is speaking, Also, I need to point out that at this time of me filming this, Lava doesn't consider himself a victim, and some people seem to hate him saying that he's not a victim, which is also weird to me. So I won't be referring to him as a victim, or I'll, put it in quotes. I really try hard not to force a victim label when someone doesn't want it in the stories that we cover. We did the same thing with Tana Mongeau. We've done the same thing even with JoJo Siwa. But the comments were a different story, and many of them were completely dismissive of Lava's feelings about himself not being a victim in his statement. People were insisting that, quote, "You're a victim whether you think so or not," which, let's be honest, I think it's like a weird thing to say to someone that you think is a victim. Like, Lava also called out Prism 42 and Brion directly for perpetuating these allegations. Quote, "Kris did nothing wrong. What's actually disgusting is you guys twisting things and making me a victim." As you can tell, this is a very complicated situation, so I want to take a more nuanced perspective than what I have often seen with this. Lava, who does have the right to his own autonomy, insists that he's not a victim. And even though I can understand where some people are coming from with their urgency in good faith, I still believe we need to respect Lava's experience. It's kind of hard for me to look at this, look at Lava being bombarded with post after post demanding that he has been groomed, but just can't see it, and that's how grooming works, and bombarding him and that his feelings aren't correct about his own life and his own experience. It's hard to see that and not ask, isn't the internet maybe just creating trauma where maybe none exists? If someone says they're not traumatized, but an outsider thinks that they must have been and just buried the trauma and thinks that they're a victim, I'm just wondering, what productive good do we think it's doing to bash this person over the head with posts insisting, no, You are a victim. You were traumatized, whether you like it or not. Whether you process this or not, exactly on our time. Like, I'm just basically in this situation, Lava was accused of being a victim. Let that sink in for a moment. Speaking from experience as a survivor of legitimate sexual grooming that led to years of SA, this, for me, like, this is a shitty way to approach someone that you think is a victim. If you think they're a victim, why wouldn't you approach them with like maybe some more kindness? Just my observation. Yes, it's possible that Lava needs more time to process how he feels about his experience. I mean, don't we all? But I think forcing someone to process if they're not ready, or if there's nothing there for them to ever process in their minds, can be just as damaging, if not more, than the offense. Oh, and did I mention how the Lava stuff even came about? So the guy who made the Kris Tyson messaged minors video faked a job interview to ambush the alleged victim and confront them. When questioned, he started comparing himself to Project Veritas. Apparently, EDP445 was contacted prior to upload as well. That's right. Lava didn't just offer up all of this information to Prism for shits and giggles to be blasted to the world. Lava thought he was in a job interview. Never in a million years would I walk into a job interview thinking that the hiring manager was using it as a cover to dig into my personal life and possible trauma for internet clout. Can you imagine? Even if the information is important, Prism's coverage already reads as biased, but when you're so focused on your investigation that you literally lie and manipulate a witness into thinking that it's a job interview and not digging for information, are you sure you're the good guy at all of this? Prism was extremely determined to bring this information to light, which could be a good thing, but it was more about prosecuting Ava than protecting the people Ava allegedly victimized, making Lava collateral damage. When we're talking about potentially criminal allegations, taking steps to preserve the alleged victim's mental health and identity is very important, and lying about who you are under the pretense of a job opportunity is wildly inappropriate. For now, Lava has stood firm in his feelings, but Lava wasn't the only underage mod in this Discord chat.
Kris Tyson from MrBeast used me, manipulated me, and did very inappropriate things with me while I was about 15 years old. I was actually friends with Lava GS at the time, who is the main victim of Kris that everyone has been talking about these last few days, who claims he isn't a victim, but we all know he is.
This is Nathan Wayman, one of the mods on the aforementioned server, which was called Dank Memes, as if you didn't need a reminder that this was taking place back in 2018. And that's Nathan talking about his experience working for Ava and the MrBeast team. Now I put working in quotes because, you know, like as Nathan later mentions, they were never paid for this work, despite repeated promises from Ava that they would be compensated. So this, you know, kind of seems like a beastly theme. Now, Nathan had been watching the MrBeast channel since he was 13. And when Jimmy put out a call asking for help building a server, Nathan, who was now 15, volunteered by reaching out to Ava Tyson. And this was Nathan's introduction to being an employee of the MrBeast cinematic universe, and the work environment itself allegedly wasn't a healthy one because right from the start, Ava failed to mention boundaries.
This turned into us having lots of private conversations with Kris and playing video games with him for hours on end. Not only did we do a lot of unpaid work for him that he promised he would pay us for, he would also frequently bring up topics that was definitely not appropriate to bring up around 15, 16-year-olds, especially with him being like, I don't know, 20, 21 years old. He would even go as far as linking me several different videos throughout the time of me talking with him. Not only that, but he had an NSFW bot in his Discord server before he made it public, so when it was just a private server, his little circle of minors, and he would use this NSFW bot to spam different images alongside all these 15-year-olds. He would also frequently call me dad and daddy as well as the others, which I guess we all kind of just took as a joke at the time. You have to think this is someone who we looked up to at the time, we idolized, we thought was the coolest person in the world, so they couldn't really do any wrong in our eyes. But looking back, I was definitely uncomfortable at being called daddy by a 20-year-old, and even just thinking about it now, it's just uncomfortable.
Wage theft and employing minors and harassment at any other workplace, an employment lawyer would be all over this. But Nathan's statement kind of gets to the heart of the issue. At the time, he didn't really think Ava's behavior was wrong. He was very young to be interpreting this. There were a lot of blurred lines in the relationship between friend and employer, and a lot of edgy jokes were par for the course back then. Like, you know, when you add teenage boys into the mix, let's be real, like it was kind of like all bets are off in a lot of ways. But with age comes experience, and now that Nathan is around the same age as Ava when they first met, it puts their interactions into new perspectives, right? Ava's messages were inappropriate. Asking teenagers to work for her was a problem, and sending them images of pee and lol, I mean, that's borderline criminal, if not literally criminal.
This server later went public and became his official Discord server, but before it did, he had me and Lava spend multiple days scrubbing this Discord server clean of all of the N-words he had sent in it, as well as his friends, as well as deleting the NSFW channels and making sure no one could see that he was spamming.
Ava seems to have been comfortable making all of these jokes, using racial slurs and sending inappropriate images to a group of her friends that just so happened to be minors, which is a detail she seems to have conveniently forgotten. Shocking! But it's hard to justify the excuse that it was just a joke, bro. When Ava decided to scrub the Discord chat before making it a public server, using Lava and Nathan to do the dirty work of cleaning it up. But Lava, he said none of this happened. Quote, "We did not scrub the Discord clean of racist remarks or pee. We did convert the Discord from a private one to a public one in a day. After it had been made public, this involves setting up moderation bots and channel permissions. We also had never done unpaid work. At no point was there any agreement that we would be paid for anything we worked on. Nathan has since deleted his Discord messages between me and him. He also deleted his original Discord account." Lava mentioned that Nathan was also harassing him and other members of the Discord at the time. Quote, "I was friends with him. We played games together and worked on the Discord. He was later removed from the Discord because of how unstable he was. He would lash out and verbally attack other members of the team." Now, Nathan says that they were told to scrub the Discord. Lava says that it never happened. It's kind of all like he said, she said at this point, so I guess we'll never know the real truth, right? Except they didn't exactly finish the job, because on July 27th, Nathan tweeted a direct link to the GitHub, how do you say that? GitHub site with all of the alleged Discord messages leaked, which he was able to gain access to with some additional help. Now, GitHub was forced to shut the website down a few days later for violating their terms of additional products and features. But at that point, the damage was done. The messages had been saved, and it would provide evidence to support a lot of the original allegations shared by Prism, and also raise a whole new set of questions. There it is, right at the top in a message from Ava. "Commence the cleaning of the Discord," followed by, "This server is gonna be spotless and ready for partnership." Spotless from what exactly, Ava? More quotes. "The R word is purged." Oh, that's what we're cleaning it from. Well, surely they didn't use, if we have to purge the word gay, we might as well purge the entire server. Really? That much? That's really not great. By the way, I went and deleted every single time the N-word has been used, so that improves the chances of partnership. A lot was said while it was a private server. It's just amazing how y'all just like can't seem to stop being racist. It's really not hard. They also openly knew that there was a P server that was open to minors that had been there since day one, and it took them an uncomfortably long time to address this. Now, Ava's response when the issue is raised was truly classy. "What am I, a parent? Well, you are now, Ava." She seems hesitant to delete the server. Meanwhile, Lava jumps in with a response mature beyond his years at the time. Quote, "I say we get rid of it because the fan base of Ava and MrBeast are mostly under 18. Will somebody tell me why? Why did it take the literal 14-year-old in the chat to make this suggestion? The Discord chat was full of SUL references, many of them originating from Ava herself. She allegedly talked about her pickle, had minors referring to her as a daddy, and engaged in a joking role play with them, or dropped fetish phrases in the chat like "buy my feet pics" as a joke, though I find the responses from the other members telling. Some are gently chiding Ava and saying no, while others responded with outright confusion, which me the too. One of the other mods, who was also a minor at the time, was even rewarded with like god status on the Discord for suggesting a hen P bot, and then rewarded by, well, who the else, Ava. And if you didn't already know, providing rewards to kids is literally a textbook warning sign of grooming. But maybe there was a reason Ava seemed reluctant to delete their private corn stash, because she was the one who had the idea for the NSFW channel in the first place. And not only that, she also asked a minor to create that channel. Winner, winner, your dinner, Ava. Lava mentions another user who was also sending inappropriate messages in the chat, like, "My guy, have you ever tried kitty yet?" You know, and again, shocking. If you introduce inappropriate content to minors, it creates a culture that's safe for others to do the same. It's funny how that works. These leaked Discord messages gave serious weight to the allegations, but also put Lava's earlier statements into question. The idea of what is or is not appropriate is somewhat subjective, but why did Lava say they were never asked to wipe the server? Quote, "Based on the recent screenshots and messages, I would like to say a statement about the Discord. This was 5 or 6 years ago, and I thought I had a good memory of a situation, but I was wrong. After reading the chat logs, this stuff was inappropriate and wrong. I spoke based on my memory of the situation, and I still do not remember these conversations, but they definitely happened. These conversations should not have happened with people at the age I was at the time. I strongly condemn them." And then he reiterates again, quote, "I still believe I am not a group victim, but these conversations should not have happened with me and any other minor in this Discord. I was a minor in the situation and not the adult influencer who shouldn't have allowed this to happen. I did not see this as wrong at the time." So it's great, right? Like, with some space and added perspective, Lava is able to like acknowledge that Ava's behavior wasn't okay, even if he doesn't feel that it adversely affect him. And honestly, I'm glad he doesn't feel adversely affected by what Ava was doing. Like, I don't know why anyone would want someone to feel victimized if they don't. Now, some people will say, oh, well, maybe they're putting up a mental block or something, but I don't even know that it always works that way. I just, again, all I can speak from is my own personal experience. And like, I went through really horrid shit by a powerful person, and I was regularly SA'd, and like, I buried it for quite a while. I didn't really start coming to terms with what happened until I started making these docs and like understanding what all of the warning signs were and like everything that happened to me. And like, and yeah, I was isolated. They were showing me porn, all of these classic things to completely separate me and desensitize me to absolutely everything so that they could then SA me. And I still wonder, with all of the work that I do, would my life be happier if I never came to terms or understanding of what happened to me? If I had just remained blocked? Yes, it manifested. Yes, I think it's tied to fibromyalgia and like a lot of the health stuff that I've struggled with. Fibromyalgia is often triggered by very traumatic events. So yeah, it's very likely that that was a part of it. But mentally, emotionally, I don't know. I struggle with that question all the time. Would I be happier, not knowing, would I be happier in my life right now if I hadn't processed all of that? And I'm still processing. I'm still learning more and more stuff as I like reflect and like memories are unlocked of stuff. Would I be happier if I just didn't process, if I just didn't know what I know now? I don't know. Sometimes I think I would. I don't know. Who's to say? No one can ever say. I just kind of feel like if Lava's like, look, I'm not a victim, then I'm like, cool. I don't think anyone should force that on him. And you know, if he takes time and like processes some stuff, I hope that it isn't a terrible experience for him. I don't. But continuing on, because, you know, Lava has one experience, Nathan has another experience, and then the internet decides that they need to weigh in and like force them to somehow have the same experience when that's just not humanly possible. Quote, I have thousands of conversations in this Discord. I did not speak to Ava 24/7 even before the Discord server. We spoke a few times a week, and that's why I'm able to remember what actually happened between me and her. I still believe the other allegations deserve to be investigated. I'm not defending the actions of Ava. Also, the great cleansing is not related to original cleaning the Discord statement Nathan made, and he knows that. This great cleansing was years after the server went public. We were talking about scrubbing any word that might be against TOS so we could get a Discord partnership. This includes words like Umer, P, CUM, and others. Below is more logs from that Discord confirming that. I still do not remember the NSFW channel stuff, but it's been proven to have existed from logs. The cleansing referred to in earlier tweets might have been for Discord partnerships, but I don't see how that ultimately changes the fact that at one point using racist and homophobic slurs along with sharing pee and making inappropriate jokes was a regular occurrence on a Discord belonging to Ava Kris Tyson. Anyway, good luck with getting that sponsorship, Ava. It's also worth noting that Jimmy, good old Jimmy boy, was also on this server, but it seems like he didn't post all that much and quietly left the Discord in early February of 2020 before anyone even noticed. But never fear, a Rolling Stone did some digging and found some real gems between Jimmy and Ava, like this one. Tyson wrote that she was the dictator of the server and I can do what I want. At that point, the server was full of those who knew the Beast crew in the real world, as well as fans surprised at the intimacy the space offered them. At one point, Donaldson comes into chat to post, "No, I know his size and it's huge," referring to Tyson. Jimmy D's spokesperson later confirmed these messages were real and offered a boilerplate legal apology about Jimmy making crude jokes, just like all teenagers. But if we can accept that explanation from Jimmy, then the question is going to be asked, where do we draw the line? Does it depend on the person? Does it depend on the age, the circumstances? Again, I'm just asking questions. So what about the fact that these exchanges took place more than 4 years ago, prior to a lot of personal changes for Ava, and change is usually for the better, so who knows, maybe Ava has grown the last 4 years to understand what she did during this period of her life was wrong and she'll never make those mistakes again, right? Damn it, Ava! This is Jess, who goes by Muskina on Twitter, sharing how her early interactions with Ava led to an eventual friendship and then employment with MrBeast until the relationship took an upsetting turn. But maybe the red flags were there from the beginning. Quote, for context, Ava and I are both adults and met each other as adults. Ava followed me on Twitter in November of 2022 after seeing my transition timeline on Twitter when I had under 500 followers. We started messaging each other every day through Twitter. She confided in me that she thought my results from HRT were amazing and that she was planning on getting HRT soon to transition herself. As someone who follows online culture, content, and streaming, I was overwhelmed by emotions with being trusted with this secret and information that I knew would be huge news. As a transgender woman who publicly transitioned a month earlier, I genuinely could not believe something so amazing had happened in my life after I had been through so much. And when Jess asked Ava about potentially working for MrBeast, she fully took advantage of her status as the best friend of the biggest YouTuber in the world. Quote, eventually we talked about me potentially working for MrBeast and she told me that she was sure she could get me in a video. While I was under the impression that she was working on getting me in a video, we started having video chats on Discord. Ava asked me to self-please with her on video call multiple times, and I always felt like I had to say yes if I wanted to be in a video or get a job. Okay, first of all, Ava, I think probably needs to be banned permanently from the Discord platform because holy shit. Secondly, I want to repeat that Jess felt like she had to say yes to Ava's demands or else risk losing a job opportunity. Based on these allegations, Ava was establishing a power dynamic by promising someone else employment. And, does that sound familiar? And the saddest part about all of this to me is that Ava found online community as, a closeted trans teen and then allegedly took that space and manipulated it for her own abuse of power rather than uplifting and supporting people who were very vulnerable. So you remember my story time set up at the very beginning of this doc? You remember you're getting on a plane, seats and tray tables upright position? Well, Ava flew Jess out to where she lived in Greenville, North Carolina for a week in April 2023. And while she was staying at Ava's home, Ava allegedly took her clothing off and asked for bedroom activity, and Jess would comply during the week-long stay. Ava engaged me and ended up receiving pleasure several times. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return, and she took advantage of that. It's heartbreaking stuff to read, and while staying at Ava's house, Jess discovered through some of the other MrBeast team members that Ava, in fact, did not have the ability to cast her in a video, and it left her shattered. Remember, came out there with the idea that she's gonna have a job. I eventually asked Ava to buy me a ticket home and flew home the next day. Leaving Ava's house was incredibly difficult to process emotionally after that week. I remember trying to hold myself together while traveling so that I wouldn't break down in public. When I got home, I spent the rest of the night crying uncontrollably without fully understanding what happened to me. And then Ava reached out to Jess with a job offer, working as her personal assistant in July 2023, and also suggested that Jess come live with her. And yes, there are red flags here, but it's one thing to see from the outside, knowing all of the allegations around Ava that we discussed. It's another thing to be directly in the moment with a powerful person. Let's just, keep that in perspective. According to Jess, a cycle began. Ava would pressure Jess for bedroom favors, and Jess felt as though she had to comply or she risked her job and now her living situation. Even though she was scared and alone, Jess chose to speak up to Ava, but the response was telling. Ava says she never wanted anything physical, but her actions and the way she pressured Jess into these situations say something very different. Quote, "For the next year, Ava towed the line with me between what was and wasn't an appropriate relationship with our power dynamic. These led me to having mixed feelings and receiving mixed signals from Ava on how she viewed me. She was able to manipulate me very easily with the power she had over me, which led to the cycle of her love bombing me, using me, falling for someone else, treating me like I'm an annoying, jealous ex, and then coming back when things didn't work out with multiple people." Jess cut off bedroom contact with Ava in December of 2023, but the relationship went downhill from there, and fights between them were constant until in June 2024, when Jess decided to leave her executive assistant position by moving out of the house for good. And she was instantly replaced, confirming her fears that Ava never cared about her at all. Now, Jess had previously brought up these issues to friends and was planning to publicly share her story, and she later did in an interview with Rolling Stone. But before that, she went to MrBeast's HR, and in July 2024, Jess began pursuing possible legal action against Ava, but the materials are basically still under review as of the time of me recording this. Ava had kept awfully quiet as all this was unfolding, and maybe she was hoping this would die out with Prism's video in early June, or that Lava statements denying being a victim would put all of this to rest. But by the time Oompaville, Moist Critical, Internet Anarchist, and Trisha Paytas were covering this, it's tough to escape. And with mainstream media outlets like Rolling Stone and Forbes picking up the story, Ava addressed the allegations for the first time on X Twitter. "I would like to apologize for any of my past behavior or comments if it hurt or offended anyone. It was not my intent. Seeing recent events, we've mutually decided it's best I permanently step away from all things MrBeast and social media to focus on my family and mental health." Stepping away from the internet to focus on mental health is usually a decision that I can respect, usually. But I'm at a loss if this is an actual apology. Let me know in the comments if you think this is an actual apology. I don't know. Saying I would like to apologize for any of my past behavior or comments if it hurt or offended anyone is an interesting choice of phrasing. But that being said, from the outside, there's a zero detail, a zero naming of the individuals involved, and a zero commitment to the notion that this alleged behavior was terribly wrong. And even in these apology tweets, Ava can't help but get defensive. I want to add, I never anyone. The person who gets brought up in these accusations, Lava GS, has vocally supported that they are false. These were all posted before the Discord messages leaked and before Lava's subsequent tweets kind of backtracking his defense of Ava. Remember, Lava's initial tweet said Ava did nothing wrong, but just a few days later, post Discord logs, he said, after reading the chat logs, this stuff was inappropriate and wrong. Ava might think that Lava coming to her defense initially is enough to prove that she didn't harm anyone, but that's not really how it works, is it? Especially after getting Nathan's perspective, who, by the way, has since deleted his original Discord account, but his videos recounting his experiences in the Discord with Ava are still available alongside his tweets on the situation, which are still being updated as conversations between him and Lava continue. And I get it, there are people who are taking sides, taking Lava's side, taking Nathan's side, taking both, taking neither. That's the nature of this stuff. I'm not here to like tell you exactly anything and everything other than to say, like, my gosh, if people are victims or if you think they're victims, please like treat it accordingly. And while I don't want to put words in someone's mouth, from the outside perspective, I would argue a case that even though Ava says she never harmed Lava, what about Jess? Jess is a very different story. There's this general idea floating around that group has to involve a minor. It often does, but that's not actually a requirement. It can happen when there is a power differential within a relationship which the abuser exploits for their own gratification. This is most commonly recognized as a tactic used by perpetrators of child SA, both on children and parents. However, adults can also be doomed. And yet another character enters the cast, one by the name of Jake the Viking, a former MrBeast employee who claims that Ava is part of the reason he left the team almost 5 years ago. After seeing all of this, I'm glad they fired me. Now, people are calling BS and saying Jake left MrBeast to pursue a channel of his own and is a clout chasing, but to his credit, his name isn't in the Discord chat log, so it's not like he had much evidence to call this out back then, at least from what I've been able to find. But also to his discredit, it also comes out that Mr. Viking Pants knew that Jimmy had hired a known registered S offender who accepted a plea for doing something apparently nefarious with an 11 or younger year-old, and a Viking boy somehow managed not only to victim blame the child, so, you know, do with that what the you will, but yeah, no, just do with that what you will. We'll maybe cover that in the full Beast doc if we do it again. Let me know if you want me to do a full Beast thing. Instead, I'll present another quote about Ava from Nathan in the Rolling Stone article on August 7th. Looking back right now, I'm about the age she was then, and I can't imagine myself spending hours on Discord talking to a 15-year-old, let alone multiple, about my problems. Why does that sound so much like Colleen? At this point, MrBeast fans were waiting to hear from Jimmy, and the day after Ava's statement, he finally addressed the Ava elephant in the room for the first time on Twitter. Over the last few days, I've become aware of the serious allegations of Ava Tyson's behavior online, and I am disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. During that time, I've been focused on hiring an independent third party to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure I have all the facts. That said, I've seen enough online, and I've taken immediate action to remove Ava from the company, my channel, and any association with MrBeast. I do not condone or support any of the inappropriate actions. I will allow the independent investigators the necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take any further actions based on their findings. Ava had been a key part of the MrBeast team since day one, but this wasn't just Jimmy firing an employee. Remember all of that backstory I did at the beginning of this doc? This was Jimmy cutting ties with a lifelong friend. It's not a simple task, and I think that's always important to keep in perspective, that there's so much nuance to these types of stories, and you know, people online will want to make things like black and white, but like it's never that. When is anything in your life black and white? It's hardly anything, right? Now, there are a few parts of this tweet worth breaking down, the first of which is it very much appears that Jimmy maybe has known to some degree about this behavior from Ava for maybe a while. Like he was part of the Discord when all these P servers, you know, SUL references and slurs were being used, and Jimmy has even been called out for using slurs in the past. There's also speculation that Jimmy was complicit in covering for Ava in the past because she had become helpful in growing the channel. And again, again, these are like allegations, but let's also not forget that Jess apparently went to Beast's HR department over the essay allegations. So MrBeast is a massive company. I don't know how much gets communicated to him or doesn't, but you know, these are just all questions. I think that like this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the allegations against Jimmy D. You know, there are new claims that his new Amazon reality show, Beast Games, is mistreating contestants on set, not providing adequate medical care, and leaving contestants to go hungry and without bathroom breaks, in addition to alleged gender discrimination, which again, all for another doc, that's not the focus today, but the Jimmy story is constantly shifting. Accusations are coming, they're going, redactions are being made, updates are being made, which makes it a very complicated mess to sort through. I will say that there are no lawsuits that we know of against either Ava or Jimmy as of this recording, but it wouldn't be the first time that MrBeast has been sued. As far as Ava's impact on the future of MrBeast, I think honestly Jimmy has bigger things to worry about at this point. Now, there's one thing that I want to touch on real quick, and that's in regards to Ava's ex, Cody, and their son. People have been accusing Ava of stepping out on her responsibilities as a parent ever since her divorce from Cody, but these new accusations ramped up a ton of hatred that used their child as a weapon, which both Cody and Ava stood firm against, as they should. First, a post from Ava. Cody doesn't like being on the internet, but it's gotten to a point where people are using my 4-year-old child as clickbait, so we sat down and discussed how we wanted to address this. I mean, seriously, I just sat down and scratched my kid's back for an hour, and now I have to address this. Cody is not only dealing with being a single parent, but also is constantly thrust into the public eye, and I think it's important to mention that outside of the YouTube sphere, all of this has a very real impact on a real family. There are people attacking Cody for even allowing their son to be around Ava post-divorce, but even if she wanted to stop Ava from seeing their son, and there's nothing indicating that, there still would be a legal process for that, which ultimately I think is none of our business. The reality is we don't know the family dynamic because none of us are a part of that family dynamic, but the attacks mentioning their child became so frequent that Cody eventually felt the need to step in and address them in the thread. Mine and Tucker's life are both better than ever. Tucker's life is kept relatively private as much as can be, solely because of people like you who try to make a headline topic with a 4-year-old's life blasted as a headline. There are plenty of other things in this world to talk about other than a 4-year-old who will one day see all of this. Imagine having to get introduced to the internet and having all of your life as headline tops. All of his life based all over the internet. His life is kept private as much as possible, and not so people like you can create a headline of a life and situation you know nothing about. So next time, please choose a different headline other than an innocent 4-year-old's life. Our lives are the best they've ever been, and Tucker is loved and cared for by both parents in both homes and is thriving. I can't imagine the amount of stress that that was causing her. And on June 25th, just 2 weeks after Prism's first video emerged, Cody Tyson announced a departure from her socials. I'm going to be taking some time away from the internet. If you need me, you can reach me through text or calls. I enjoy sharing happy parts of my life on here, but unfortunately it's creating a large amount of problems, tangents, and unfathomable stress. See you guys later. Now, Cody is back to posting get ready with me videos on her TikTok, but her comments are still off, and I think that that is a good and healthy thing, and it seems like she's trying to move past all of it, and I hope that people can just move to wishing her and her child and her family health and let them heal and let them just have their lives away from this. Their lives have nothing to do with these specific actions of Ava. Period. Now, as I mentioned earlier, while the alleged actions of Ava Tyson are reprehensible in my opinion, what is also disturbing is the way in which some people use this as an excuse to spew bigotry and transphobic remarks at a vulnerable community just trying to exist. Now, I am not a trans individual, but as a biracial Black woman, I know how difficult and painful living through daily prejudice can be and the toll that it can take on your mental, emotional, and even physical health. I also also know how important it is to hear directly from the communities affected. So I posted on Twitter asking if there were any trans individuals who would be open to a written interview to share some of their perspectives, not just on Ava Kris Tyson, but on what their lives are really like and how stories like this, where the actions of Ava have nothing to do with being trans, how that impacts the trans community, the way the public intermingles the two of them when they should be separate things. So I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who responded, and I want to share some of their answers here, starting with the first question. What has life been like as a trans person? If you are not trans, what has life been like with a trans family member, partner, friend, or other? Now, the first anonymous person said, quote, "It's been a series of ups and downs, constantly questioning who I am and what it means to be part of the community." OBTV shared something heartbreaking, saying, "I had been wrecked inside, struggling with severe mental health disorders, self-harm, and nearly ended my life. I remember so clearly coming home from high school one day, walking straight to my room. I locked the door and just sobbed as I finally admitted to myself that I was transgender." And again, we provide all of that background story and information to lead us to hear from real people who've experienced all of this, because it's not easy. Anonymous 2 said, "It's been both the best and worst experience of my life, if I'm being honest. While I love being myself and being true to my own identity, the backlash and difficulty to attain medically affirming trans care, as well as losing friends and family for being out, is hard." And Spider Freak shared, "More often than not, when I'm in a space where I feel I have to disclose my transness, it's terrifying." While we have maybe some overlap in being part of, vulnerable communities, we still have very different experiences, and I can't imagine like how difficult that is, and I'm just so sorry. My second question was this: how do you feel society views and treats trans individuals? To which Mystic Dragon said, quote, "To be honest, I hate how people seem to have a preconceived notion that all queer/trans people are pedo and want to harm children, etc." And you may sense a theme here. As Howl intimated, some corners of the internet are very live and let live, but a loud, uninformed, bigoted minority of the internet seem to believe that trans people are preds due to a few bad eggs. Now, adding to that, Mikhail said, "We're disproportionately victims of violence, harassment, and discrimination. This often stems from a lack of understanding and acceptance of gender identity." And Connor shared, "I think a lot more people are more casual about our existence. While they think I'm disgusting, they rarely go out of their way to tell me to my face. Online is a different story, as a lot of those would-be harassers turn into keyboard warriors who target and harass trans people with zero repercussions." And I also wanted to hear from someone who maybe has a family member or someone, a partner who is trans. And so someone shared, "We watch helplessly as people in power do everything they can to make my sister's life harder, to reject her on the most fundamental levels. The fact that no matter how much love we give my sister, she knows that society as a whole still rejects her is an extremely bitter pill to swallow. It doesn't just affect the people, it affects the people who love them as well. In different ways, obviously, but it is a rippling effect that just like ripples through society when we are bigoted and prejudiced against communities that are just trying to exist." Now, these answers are not easy to hear, but they are honest, and I so appreciate them. And they are unfortunately a very common experience amongst trans individuals, regardless of if they've transitioned fully or not. I think it's heartbreaking, and it's so completely unnecessary for them to have these experiences. Like, if we focused more on open acceptance than weaponized governments on someone's autonomy. Now, my next question was pretty simple, but so crucial, at least for me to ask. It was about basic support. Question: do you feel supported as a trans individual? Now, there were thankfully some very encouraging responses. Quote, "I do, by my chosen family, my friends, and my wife. Never for a second did they falter." And M. Lashley also felt similar. "I do. My family and friends love me and know who I am. I am, however, extremely lucky. I've also been able to meet many other trans people in my community, which has been so nice. Having people that totally understand what I'm going through is so nice and has helped me in ways I can't begin to explain. But not everyone has a support system like this," as shared by Serene Generation, who, in regards to "do you feel supported," very bravely said, quote, "No, I am so alone, it hurts. I'm just stuck with my own thoughts, and they are steadily getting worse. I'm willing to guess that most of you watching, regardless of race, color, identity, anything, most of you have survived something difficult in life. Whether it's abuse, neglect, bullying, feeling isolated, struggling with identity. And I know that I've said it before, but I will say it again. And I want to say it also specifically to the person whose words I just read. I hear you that you feel alone. I just want you to know that there are so many people standing with you and having community with you, even if you don't feel it. And I know that it can be so hard to believe that, but there really are people out there who are just ready to support you. I bet you'll see some of that support in the comments. Now, my next question was pretty simple. If you have experienced transphobia, we're so sorry, or have seen transphobia online, how does that make you feel? And now I'm gonna speed run these because they all carry a very similar sentiment. Disgusted, like I'm dirty for existing. I found myself crying over family members posting transphobia more times than I've just ignored it. I'll have people sending me awful messages, telling me to do things to myself, telling me I'm a freak, I'm mentally ill, and a multitude of other things. As an adult, I can take it, but for younger trans kids, it might be a formative moment, and I feel so bad for them. And when I asked about their thoughts about Ava Kris Tyson, they didn't hold back. Do you have any thoughts about the Ava Kris Tyson story? What Ava has done is disgusting. She knew for years that this happened and still chose to never address it or take accountability. She gave them the exact ammo they need to continue a transphobic attack on our community. This is a revolting abuse of power and makes my blood boil. Another person very astutely pointed out the fact Ava is trans has nothing to do with their reprehensible conduct. Ava did not commit these awful acts because she is trans. She committed these awful acts because she is inherently an awful person. Yeah. Now, after reading all of these responses, which were very difficult, right? It's very just, if you look at these as a human, from human to human, we are humans, everyone are humans, we're all humans. We could treat each other as such. It's heartbreaking. It's difficult to listen to stuff like that. Yeah, now after reading all of these responses, there was another crucial thing that I thought needed to be asked. What do you wish more people understood about being a trans individual? Mystic Dragon shared that it's not a choice, that we are still humans, that we aren't trying to change in spite of others. We are changing because that's who we are. And Billy said, I'm just a person. I'm not a different person than I was before. I just know myself. And Anonymous 3 expressed that we're just trying to exist. We aren't after your children. We just want to live and be safe and be happy. And that's the sentiment that I hope that we can like override what we were seeing online in regards to Ava. Like, the earlier quote was right, that like Ava's actions are just a human being doing reprehensible things, and it has nothing to do with being trans or identity. I just hope that we could focus on the fact that we are all human beings and we can treat each other as human beings and like not, just send anonymous hate posts to someone because of their identity. Like, it's just, we could just like not do that. And so, just for fun, because again, trans people are living, breathing people, just like I'm a living, breathing person, you're a living, breathing person. We're all living, breathing people, right? Regardless of however it is we do or don't identify. So I just wanted to throw in a question about being a living, breathing person. So I just wanted to know for fun, what is one thing that makes you feel happy in life? And these responses really shouldn't be surprising because again, we're human. So I'm gonna speed run these. My friends and family, my guinea pigs, my stepson, my wife, Spider-Man and Wolverine, my beautiful husband, kitties, anime, my fiance, my hobbies, my friends, my cat Squiggles, and snuggling with my doggo. Again, I want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the interview questionnaire. Thank you for using your voice and sharing a sneak peek into what life is like for you. I always love to try to hear from the direct communities when I can. I appreciate you all so much, and I just appreciate our entire community, all of us, all of you watching, again, regardless of race, identity, who you love, who you don't, all of it, political, any of it. I just appreciate you being here, being open to productive conversations. And yeah, I appreciate you all so much. And again, I can't not say it. If people think it's cringe, I don't care. I'm gonna keep saying it. I want you to know that you are so worthy. You are valid, and you are worthy of life and happiness and health and healing, and the world is better because you're in it. So thank you for just being here. And I just want to say that there were some responses that I got of people who sounded like they were struggling with wanting to continue with life. And I didn't want to put them in the video, but I just want to say directly to anyone who might be struggling, whether it was someone who wrote to me or any of you watching, just be here. Your life is so worthy and so meaningful. You are valid. Your experiences are valid, are real. It absolutely does get better, even if it feels like it never will. I have been there, and it does get better. So please just be here. Please don't compare your healing to someone else's. The way someone else's healing looks might not even be what you think it is. Your healing journey is your own, and it may take a while, and that's okay. You may feel like it'll never happen, and that's okay. Day by day, it will get better. I promise. Just stick around to find out. You got this. You're gonna be okay. I promise. Oh, child, I am exhausted. I think we need a bit of a palette cleanser, or maybe like a whole lot of kitties everywhere. And then I will conclude with my final thoughts. Look at the billing department. They are so cute, and they've been on a little bit of a diet, okay? They tried to get a little fluffy. And the doctor was like, they gotta be on a diet. So they're doing well. They've actually lost a little bit of weight, which is great, but they're doing well. If you're interested in some positive messaging clothing, then be sure to grab your pieces from the Petty University Valid Collection in the Valid Ribcage by tapping the link below and in the pinned comment. I designed these pieces for anyone who, again, was looking for stuff with positive reminders that you are incredible, beautiful, and valid. It honestly really helps me to see things. It's my neurodivergent brain. If I don't see it in front of me, then I'm not thinking about it most of the time. And so, that's why. So these clothes make me feel good. I hope they make you feel good. I love getting the messages from you saying that, people were reading the back of your hoodie and it made them feel good, and it was a total stranger and they told you. So listen, we'd spread some positivity here because there's a lot of darkness. Also, follow me on Instagram, okay? I'm trying to be a real influencer. And on Twitter, both are linked below. That's where I post most often. I have polls, I check in on life, and I post opportunities to be featured in upcoming Swoop docs like the interviews I did earlier. And please keep tagging me again with your outfit photos because I just love reposting you on my Instagram stories when I see them. A couple of shout outs from my last doc, The Downfall of JustPearlyThings. My gosh, that tragic professional pick-me is a whole ass mess. If you want to see me get very petty about a woman who thinks women shouldn't vote and we should ban divorce, then make sure to check that one out. It's linked below.
This idea that women are naturally better parents is not true. It is not the case.
I would argue that men are the most discriminated group against in society.
Marriage is a bad deal for men. This statement is simply a fact. I say, hey, fat chicks are fat, and they get mad at me. But I mean, they're fat.
This week, she's facing a major backlash for posting a song titled, Why Can't We Talk About the Jews? Why did you do that?
Women ruin relationships and they ruin families.
I actually think that women like to be cheated on.
I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote.
Women cry abuse for everything, and we've actually lost the meaning of abuse.
Yes!
First shout out goes to Sandra Lynn, who says, it's Petty University time. Let me get my notebooks and tune in. Yes, class is in session. And second shout out goes to the Kitty Cat, who says, the thing about Pearl is that I can't even get really rage inducing mad. It's just really sad. She's a grifter and a pick-me, but the whole thing is just sad. Pathetic sad, but still sad. Props to Swoop and her team for diving into this. I would not have had the patience. And yes, my gosh. Oh, it took some patience. Whoo! Yeah. Also, I have a new second channel called Swoop 2. New. It's coming up on a year in a couple of months. Wow, that's wow. That's where we dip into the dark waters of the sus pool, where everything is sus. Maybe even us. We dip into all kinds of dark, bizarre, mind-bending stories, a true crime, and basically it's more unhinged over there, and the videos are much shorter. So it's great. Go ahead and subscribe over there. Thank you for subscribing here. Thank you for subscribing there. We really do have the most amazing community, and I am so thankful for each and every single one of you. Huge thank you to all of you and to Raycon for sponsoring this doc. If you're ready to grab the most comfortable and incredible earbuds with super long battery life, amazing sound, active noise cancellation, and the cutest colors, be sure to click the link in the description box below or go to buyraycon.com/swoop to get 15% off your Raycon purchase and treat yourself, honey. You deserve it. I've already said a lot today, so I'll sum my thoughts up as this. Leave kids alone. Just leave them alone. Can we just agree on that? Can we just leave them alone? Like, power differentials make it easy. Yeah, it makes it easy to silence anyone, whether it's a boss, a teacher, a celebrity, or even as simple as like, you know, an age gap. It's often a means of control, whether you're dealing with someone who is best friends with the most powerful YouTuber in the world. It can be very hard to speak up about something as vulnerable as these stories. And I hope that those who have spoken out against Ava find the healing they deserve. I hope any of you who speak out against someone who's harmed you finds the healing that you deserve. In regards to Ava, what the seriously, the more I cover stories like this, the more I realize it's actually really easy to just not mess with kids. So yeah, let's just not mess with them. So yeah, stay safe out there, and when all else fails, stay ready, stay petty, class dismissed. Swoop!